Are the Miami Heat going to trade Jimmy Butler this offseason? I don't know if that is even a real possibility, but there's a lot of buzz out there from ESPN. And after Pat Riley's comments at his end-of-year press conference yesterday, there are some buzz out there. Before we talk about what I think and all the facts and rumors surrounding the situation, what do you think? Would you trade Jimmy Butler? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I do want to know what you have to say on the matter. I'm going to give my answer later on, but let me hear yours first. I think we have to talk about this because do teams reportedly have interest? The Philadelphia 76ers are expected to monitor the Jimmy Butler situation, according to Brian Windhorst. He has talked about this on ESPN in their morning shows quite a bit over the past 3 or 4 days, and honestly a lot of other NBA analysts, in quotation marks because I don't really think they're that good at their job, sorry to say that out loud, have also talked about it. But to me, I don't think there's anything to monitor. I get it. The extension talks have been out there about Jimmy wanting one. The Heat haven't been really that happy to do it this early, I should say. And then you have what Pat Riley said yesterday at his press conference and just adding fuel to the fire. And you see ESPN running with these reports of the Sixers monitoring interest, and that's who they're targeting. And then you hear Daryl Morey's comments at his press conference saying they'd like to add someone who is a playoff riser alongside Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, Jimmy is that. But when you really just think about the entire Jimmy Butler situation and the 76ers' hopes, I should say, to get Jimmy, they're banking on him requesting a trade. And I kind of just alluded to it a second ago, but they're banking on the Heat not wanting to give Jimmy an extension, which Butler clearly wants, at least to this point, and wants that 2-year max extension that he can get because he can't sign anything more than a 2-year max due to the NBA rules about age. You're not allowed to give a max past someone's 38 season in terms of age. So he could only cash in for the next 2 seasons, extension-wise, until he's 38. And the Heat haven't been that excited to give him that 2-year extension, at least as of now. And Pat Riley even said yesterday that, well, they don't have to do it for an entire year. The deadline is at the end of June in 2025. So Philadelphia is asking and banking that Jimmy request a trade, which I don't think he will do. And to me, it would be a monumental mistake for both Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler to let it get to that kind of tipping point. But it did not help that Pat Riley said this yesterday on Jimmy Butler. If you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut. Now, if you don't remember what that is referring to, it is that clip that Jimmy said if he was fully healthy, the Celtics would be at home right now, and the New York Knicks would be at home as well right now. Because if he stayed healthy, they would have beat Philadelphia. They would have beat the Knicks in the first round. Allegedly. That's what he's basically saying. I do find it fascinating that Pat Riley publicly called out Jimmy like this, saying you should keep your mouth shut when you're not on the court. But either way, I do not expect Jimmy Butler to ask out. To me, it's been a perfect marriage. Think about this, guys. Jimmy Butler, everywhere he's gone, ever since he really reached that star status, he's kind of had a rocky relationship with every franchise he's been to. Think about when he got traded from Chicago to Minnesota. Then we know the Minnesota disaster where he allegedly, and there's different rumors and stories that come about this every time, where he wanted money, they didn't give it to him, he didn't like Andrew Wiggins, he had issues with Karl-Anthony Towns, he took third stringers at practice and whooped Katz and Wiggins' ass in the first team before asking out. And then he gets traded to Philadelphia. It looked like a really good fit there, but then obviously Tobias Harris over me, and then Jimmy Butler comes to Miami in a sign-and trade, and where there has not been a rocky relationship. It's been perfect between him, Pat Riley, and this Heat organization because Jimmy Butler is a hard-nosed guy who wants to do things his way and just does anything to compete and win. Well, anything that you can say about the Miami Heat is what they are the same thing. They are a hard-nosed organization. They do anything to win. They play hard. They don't allow any softness in their organization, and it's been a perfect marriage between the two. So I do not expect Pat Riley or Jimmy Butler to try to ruin it because they are a match made in heaven. I'll say you this, though. We will have every single Miami Heat rumor covered this offseason, ranging from Heat trade rumors on Donovan Mitchell to Heat trade rumors on their own player in Jimmy Butler. Anything that comes up in the offseason, we'll talk about it, break it down, give it truth, break it, and kind of shred it to pieces as well, like this video. So make sure you hit that sub button. We're very, very close to 11K. The reason why I also would not trade Jimmy Butler is because of how well it has worked between him and the Miami Heat. The success that these two have had together have been unbelievable. We'll talk about the postseason in just a second, but you see the regular season numbers on screen. And this is the last 4 years. It's not even accounting for his first season in the 305 when Miami made the NBA Finals. The three-point percentage has gotten better every single year. The one question that I have around Jimmy is his availability. That is the one question that Pat Riley had. Not only did Riley call him out for his comments off the court, but he also said that Jimmy Butler needs to be more available for the Miami Heat. As you see, he has not played over 65 games over the last 4 seasons. And if you didn't know, you need to play 65 to meet the requirements to be in All-NBA or All-Defense or MVP type guy. So the benchmark that you should ask your superstar to play is 65 games. And that's still missing 17, which Pat Riley even said that was too much. But the reason why it's going to be hard for me to imagine these two splitting up is because the postseason success Jimmy and Miami has had. The Heat have been with Jimmy Butler in 4 postseasons. Obviously, this one is the 5th year of Butler's, but he didn't play against the Boston Celtics. Jimmy's just been phenomenal outside of one series. Obviously, in 1920, you make the NBA Finals, losing in 6 to the Lakers, 22 a night, 48% from the field. He got a lot of help from Bam, Goran Dragic, and Tyler Hero in that postseason. People forget Goran Dragic was averaging 18 a game on great efficiency. He was torturing the Bucks and Celtics. Then the Bryn Forbes series in 2021, which was just disgusting. We don't talk about it. But the last 2 have been unbelievable, man. Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals, tough loss in 21-22. But he was the best player in that postseason up until Giannis Antetokounmpo went nuclear. Steph Curry went nuclear in the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. He was unbelievable. And then last year, he was even better. 26.9 points per game, great efficiency, but ultimately came up short against the Denver Nuggets. I'm not trading Jimmy Butler, and there's no reason the Heat should trade Jimmy Butler. You do not find a player that performs like Jimmy Butler does in the postseason often. Too often, we actually talk about these great regular season players taking a step back in the postseason, a la Joel Embiid, a la Paul George. Devin Booker, honestly, has kind of taken steps back in the postseason as well. So you need to find players that can be good in the postseason, in the biggest moments. Jimmy Butler is that one guy that can do it. There's probably only like 8 to 10 guys that rise in the playoffs, at least that are star players currently. Jimmy Butler is one of them. I'm not trading him. But we do have to talk about these type of things on the show. And next, after this ad break, we're going to talk about what a trade would look like and what the Heat could get in return, even though I'm not trading Jimmy Butler and I don't expect them to trade Jimmy Butler. But I do want to explore the hypothetical. We are sponsored, though, by Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in North America. It's daily fantasy made easy. All you do is pick more than or less than. Yes, it is that simple on 2 or more player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. The Heat are no longer playing, which is a massive bummer, but you can still get in on the action with the NBA playoffs, the NHL postseason, MLB, League of Legends, Call of Duty. Goddamn, they got slapboxing and MMA on Prize Picks as well. I'm still playing Prize Picks in the postseason for the NBA because you can turn your ball knowledge to cash, and I got some of the best ball knowledge in the business, baby. I'm taking the less than on Donovan Mitchell, 27.5 points. He was terrific against Orlando, but having to go up against Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Drew Holiday for an entire series, it's going to be difficult for him to get that patented 30 points a game, so I'll take the less than there. My guy SGA is going to hoop against Dallas, man. I promise you that. 40.5 points, rebound, assist, take the more than. And I'll take the more than on Derek White, 25 points, rebound, assist. I hate that shit. You guys know that if you guys were with me for the Heat Celtics watch parties, but Man, he's good at basketball. So I'm going to take the more than on his 25 points, rebound, assist. 3-player entry here to win 5 times my money, but you can win 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct entries if you go all demon mode there, baby. So join Prize Picks. Download the app today, code CLNS, to get that first deposit match up to $100, or just use prizepicks.com/CLNS. And then once again, use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. All right, we did get some Jimmy Butler next team odds. This coming from Bovada, so take it with a grain of salt if you will. The 76ers are favorites, as we talked about a little bit off the top, at plus 200. New Orleans Pelicans plus 400, Nets 600, Kings 800, and the Spurs plus 1,200. But first things first, I do want to bring up the Philadelphia 76ers talk because, well, they've been out there quite a bit, let's just say that, over the last 5 days with Windhorse, ESPN, and everyone else. But these rumors are being generated from someone, right? It's coming from somewhere. No, they're just not making this up when they're saying, when Windhorse is reporting from sources. And we kind of have an idea. The rumors are being generated by the 76ers GM, Daryl Morey. We've seen 5 Reasons Sports Network report this. Shout out to them that they've been talking to sources around the league, and they've kind of came to the conclusion that Morey is feeding this information to ESPN to generate more buzz out there on social media, gain traction, potentially just throw the Heat off their game, and Jimmy Butler sees it and would be intrigued by that. I don't think Jimmy or Miami are really leaking anything to the media. To me, this is the opposing team trying to come into our house and tear our shit down because they've been terrible, can't get past the second round, and they know we've had all the success. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. Second thing I want to mention is that the 76ers have absolutely nothing I would want in a trade package. They can't offer anything that would make me just think about it and sit back and say, maybe we should take that trade from Philadelphia, because how about this? The 76ers only have 4 players under contract for next season. Now, obviously, they will re-sign a lot of people and sign other free agents. They have some of the most cap space in the NBA. But the only 4 players that are currently under contract for the Sixers is Joel Embiid, Paul Reed. By the way, that contract's not even guaranteed, so he could get cut if the 76ers wanted to. Who the hell is this guy? And then Ricky Council IV, who I actually do like, second-round pick. I think it was actually UDFA out of Arkansas last year. I'm a big fan of his game. But they don't have anybody under contract, so they can't really trade you anyone until they sign people. And then even if they do sign people, pretty sure there's a rule where you can't trade them within like 60 or 90 days or something like that. So it's not like they can give you any young player of worth. And sure, they can give you 3 first-round picks and some pick swaps, but if I'm trading Jimmy Butler, I'm not doing it for anything less than at least a good young player. And we'll talk about what I'd want in a Jimmy Butler trade if one somehow happened in a second. But would you even entertain a Jimmy trade? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. It's a different iteration of the question I asked off the top. But after kind of hearing some other things and who could be involved in a Jimmy trade, would you even entertain one? Let me know down below. The number 2 team on those odds was the New Orleans Pelicans. And I do think that is a very interesting team if Jimmy Butler did want to be traded. Why? Because they have great assets and they have a lot of first-round picks. Some of the Pelicans' trade assets they could offer probably argues the best. And I'm not saying you would get all of this, not saying that in the slightest, but they do have Brandon Ingram, which I imagine if they're making a trade, they would be moving on from Brandon Ingram. And if they're getting Jimmy Butler, I would imagine they wouldn't want a fit of Zion, B.I., and Jimmy. They also have Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins. I'm a big fan of Jordan Hawkins, the lottery pick from a year ago from UConn. Didn't see the floor a lot for the Pelicans this year. Got off to a good start and then faltered late. I'm still a big fan of his upside, but these 2 right here are the ones I want to talk about. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. Those 2 are studs, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, I've said this for a long time that I would never trade Jimmy Butler, but if I were to handpick a package for the Miami Heat to get in return for Jimmy Butler, it would be with the New Orleans Pelicans. I have the receipts. I can bring other people on the show if you don't believe me. But I've always said that I would trade him to New Orleans if I absolutely had to, try to get Herb and Trey Murphy plus a first-round pick. This was a year ago that I actually said that, if Jimmy asked out or something like that. But I don't think that Jimmy Butler is actually worth that anymore, and I think Herb Jones and Trey Murphy have proven their value enough to where the New Orleans Pelicans wouldn't even want to move off of the two of them. But how about this? Another team that would be intriguing to me. The Oklahoma City Thunder. We're on the top 5 list of next team odds, but hear me out here. If the OKC Thunder, who are the number 1 team in the West this year, lose in 5 or 6 games to the Dallas Mavericks in the second round, series starts tonight, of course, could they look to make a massive upgrade to help out SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams? Because they're still very young. Could they get a playoff riser in Jimmy Butler? They also have decent trade assets, if I'm going to be honest. They'd likely have to trade Josh Giddey in any of those packages, but they also have the rookie Cason Wallace, who's been terrific for them off the bench as an on-ball defender and three-point shooter out of Kentucky. Isaiah Joe's been really, really good for them off the bench as a three-point sniper, and yes, that number is correct on the bottom of your screen. They have 16 first-round picks. I don't know if they're all tradable because obviously the stipend rule, or however the frig you say the name, where you can't trade picks in back-to-back drafts. But the thing is, they damn near have multiple first-round picks in almost every single draft. So they can offer you technically 6 or 7 first-round picks. That's not what Jimmy Butler would get in return, by the way, but they just have the firepower to outbid anybody in the league for a superstar. And that's kind of why I want to shift the conversation to end today's show. I don't even know what you'd be able to get for Jimmy Butler. He's 34. He's going to be 35 when the regular season rolls around. His age is obviously very concerning because his game is more predicated on getting to the rim, drawing fouls, and then hitting mid-range jumpers. It's not like he has a crazy bag where he can turn into this three-point sniper. He did shoot 41% from 3 this season, but he also didn't take a lot of them. So the volume isn't there. So even for the Heat's perspective, I am a little bit terrified of how Jimmy Butler, when he ages and his play starts to decline and his athleticism declines, that he could actually turn into one of the worst contracts in the NBA because his play just doesn't match his value. But if the Heat did want to trade Jimmy Butler this season or offseason, or he requested a trade, what would I want in return? I think this is very, very fine to ask. I would ask for 1 good young player, 1 good role player, and 2 first-round picks. I think that's fair. And I know some people, if you're watching this late in the video, shout out to you for hanging out for this, because I know this is a long video, would say this is not enough. But like I just mentioned, you do have to take in the fact that his age and the way he's had issues with other franchises in the past. I don't think Jimmy Butler's trade value is really as high as us Heat fans would probably like to think it is. So I'd want 1 good young player, a good role player, and 2 first-round picks, which is why I brought up the Oklahoma City Thunder, because if they did want to move on and get Jimmy into this locker room, I think they're the perfect match. You can get Cason Wallace, you can get Isaiah Joe, and 2 first-round picks from them. It wouldn't match salary purposes-wise, so you'd probably have to take back a bigger contract in return as well, since Jimmy's making so much money. But that's a good framework to get a talented guard that can defend, that can shoot, a good shooter off the bench that you could move Duncan Robinson to keep Isaiah Joe as that role movement shooter. And you get 2 first-round picks. I think that's where I'd probably lean if the Heat and Butler ended up having to move their separate ways. All right, that'll do it for today's video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter because I'm talking Heat basketball even more there on a daily basis at Nic_Rohloff. If you follow me and then DM me saying 305 for the Miami Heat, I'll give you a follow back. How about that? So go do that. Follow me at Twitter at Nic_Rohloff.